Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Alrighty, guys, what's up? Napoleonic Wars, Part 2. Let's do it. Everything's right. Hope you guys are okay. Hope you're ready to learn or teach me stuff, recommend stuff in the comments. Join the party, hit that subscribe button. We're growing, I love it. Thanks, guys, so much. Let's get into it. So I did the Part 1. Part 2, Prussia smashed Jena, 1806. Let's go. Let's do it, gang.
In December 1805, at the Battle of Austerlitz, Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French, won a crushing victory.
Right, so before this, so if you guys haven't seen Part 1, I would recommend go checking that out. Either my reaction to it or just going to check it out right on straight from the source on Epic History TV. But I was surprised. I thought that I have learned about World War I in classes before, but I forgot that I guess Prussia wasn't a part of the fighting right away. Obviously, it's going to get into Prussia right now. But I thought they were in it from the beginning. I was wrong about that. I know Napoleon has a long way to go before he's defeated. I know he is exiled at one point, comes back. A lot of stuff I'm hazy on, which means I need this refresher. Thanks, guys, for letting me know about Epic History TV, blah, blah, blah. Original link down at the top of the description below. Sorry, let's get into it.
Against the joint... In December 1805, at the Battle of Austerlitz, Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French, won a crushing victory against the joint forces of Austria and Russia. Napoleon now dominated Europe, able to hand out spoils as he saw fit. In February 1806, he sent an army led by Marshal Massena to overthrow the King of Naples, who had dared to side with his enemies, and gave his throne to his own brother Joseph instead. Another brother, Louis, was made King of Holland. His German allies, Bavaria and Württemberg, were elevated to the status of kingdoms. While Napoleon...
That must be so weird coming in, especially, you know, I'm sure there was a good amount of messaging and stuff, but nothing like we have today. And to see Napoleon come in and just this guy just put in as your king. Obviously, you couldn't do anything about it if you were mad or whatever, but it just must have been a very weird experience. Just, okay, he's in charge now, I guess.
Napoleon made himself protector of the Confederation of the Rhine, a new alliance of German states that would contribute 60,000 troops to his army. In recognition of the new reality, Emperor Francis of Austria formally dissolved the Holy Roman Empire, founded by Charlemagne 1,000 years before, but now without influence or purpose. Austria had been humiliated. France remained at war with Britain, Sweden, and Russia. But in the summer of 1806, all eyes were on Prussia.
Here we go. Buckle up.
The Prussian king, Frederick William III, regarded Napoleon with deep mistrust and had been about to join the coalition against him when news arrived of its disastrous defeat at Austerlitz.
Answers my question.
He was heavily influenced by his wife, the celebrated and popular Queen Louise.
Guys, thank you. Someone explained to me why, gave me a great explanation. You guys are so good at explaining in the comments. If I miss, especially a lengthy explanation, let me know. Like, remind me, because I don't want to miss out on that. I have to get better at making sure, keeping track of comments, recommendations. Someone let me know kind of that Frederick William III was a very kind of hesitant person, which I thought was very surprising since I always pictured Prussia as a very militaristic, ready to fight society. Kind of like a modern day Sparta. Clearly not the case here, and he said that his wife was the one to kind of set the tone.
Who detested France and Napoleon. She led the influential War Party at the Prussian court. Matters came to a head over Hanover, a German state which had belonged to British King George III, been occupied by the French, and given by Napoleon to Prussia as compensation for other territorial changes. Now the Prussians learned that Napoleon had secretly offered to give Hanover back to Britain in exchange for peace. Frederick's advisors now persuaded him that war was the only honorable course. But Prussia then made a basic strategic blunder, sending an ultimatum to Napoleon without consulting its new allies in the Fourth Coalition. Their forces were too far away to help Prussia, who would now face Napoleon's Grande Armée with just the small state of Saxony for support.
Not good.
In 1806, the Prussian army had a fearsome
So
reputation.
he's pretty much saying right there, I think that, you know, might look good at first, but behind the scenes, not great.
In 1806, the Prussian army had a fearsome reputation that dated back 50 years to the reign of Frederick the Great. Napoleon, a student of history, regarded it with respect. But Prussia's army had been allowed to rest on its laurels. Its generals were old, its staff work hindered by bureaucracy and personal rivalries, its movements ponderous and predictable. Prussian soldiers, however, could be relied on to fight with pride and determination, while Prussian cavalry was regarded as amongst the best in Europe.
That's so cool. So these are the sons and grandsons of the once great Prussians. I'm sure they still are pretty darn good, but just aren't like the past few generations, and all empires kind of fade. Nothing is static.
While Prussian cavalry was regarded as amongst the best in Europe. In October 1806, Napoleon invaded Saxony with an army of 166,000 men and 256 guns. Advancing in 3 columns, the French crossed the mountain forests of the Thuringerwald, along roads carefully reconnoitered by scouts and spies. Napoleon intended to threaten Leipzig and force a decisive battle with the Prussian army, which he believed was near Gera. The Prussians were, in fact, further west, concentrating near Erfurt, on the west bank of the river Saale. Its commander, the Duke of Brunswick, had hoped to threaten the flank of Napoleon's advance. But wrong-footed by the speed of the French, he now ordered a retreat north to find a new defensive line. On the 10th of October at Saalfeld, Marshal Lannes' 5th Corps clashed with a Prussian advance guard, commanded by Prince Louis Frederick, the king's cousin. The Prussian force was routed, and Prince Louis himself killed in combat with a quartermaster of the French 10th Hussars. 3 days later, Lannes made contact with a large Prussian force near Jena and sent news to Napoleon. The French emperor, believing he'd found the main Prussian army, rapidly issued orders for his corps to concentrate for battle at Jena. Bernadotte's 1st Corps and Davout's 3rd Corps were to cross the Saale and fall on the Prussian flank from the north.
I just want to say, I've never seen a channel. I've put enough praise in Epic History TV. It has surpassed History Matters. I'm sorry, History Matters. You're my second by far, ahead of my third favorite channel. But the battle, the way it shows battles and everything like this is just so amazing. If other channels like this kind of military warfare, recommend.
But Napoleon was wrong. Were to cross the Saale and fall on the Prussian flank from the north. But Napoleon was wrong. Lannes faced a 35,000-strong Prussian rearguard, commanded by General Hohenlohe. The main Prussian army, 52,000 men under the Duke of Brunswick, was further north, moving straight into the path of Davout's Third Corps. The Battle of Yena began at 6:30 a.m. on the 14th of October in thick fog.
It even puts the fog on the screen. This channel is so good.
Marshal Lannes' 5th Corps already had a toehold on the plateau west of the town and river. His first task was to drive back the Prussians and win room for the rest of the French army, arriving by the hour to deploy. His infantry led the way, and fierce fighting broke out for the villages of Cospeda, Closewitz, and Lützeroda. Meanwhile, Augereau's 7th Corps advanced through a ravine, emerging onto the plateau on Lannes' left flank, while Soult's 4th Corps climbed steep tracks to form on his right. Napoleon joined Lannes in the center of the battlefield, organizing a 25-gun battery to support the attack on Vierzehnheiligen. The village was won, but then lost to a determined Prussian counterattack.
What's Holzendorf doing up here? Come on, man, we need you.
On the right, around 10 a.m., Soult's infantry secured Closewitz, but was counterattacked on its right flank near Rödigen.
Holzendorf.
A decisive charge by Soult's light cavalry drove off the Prussians, routing their infantry and capturing 2 enemy colors.
So is that what the half blue, half the multicolored rectangles represent? Cavalry?
As 6th Corps began to arrive on the plateau, its fearless but impetuous commander, Marshal Ney, ignored orders and dived into the fighting around Vierzehnheiligen, becoming briefly cut off by a Prussian counterattack and having to be rescued by guard cavalry. General Hohenlohe was expecting the arrival of 15,000 more troops under General Ruchel at any moment.
Slow.
Until then, he remained largely inactive, shoring up his line and ordering limited counterattacks. But he had run out of time. Napoleon had begun the day with just 25,000 men. By 12:30, a steady stream of reinforcements had brought his strength up to 96,000.
How do you fight that? It's just he's got everyone so well organized. This is just like the when I was doing the Roman army video. They're just their command. You can have all the gear and the weaponry and the history and the that you want, but when it comes to tactical decisions, Napoleon just seems to be the best.
As the Emperor rode past the Imperial Guard, one young soldier, eager to be sent into action, called out, "Forward!" Napoleon stopped and demanded to know who had spoken, then rebuked the soldier as a beardless youth who ought not to offer advice until he too had commanded in 30 battles. But
I thought he was gonna be like, heck yeah, guys. Who said that? That makes me. A moment like that, it made me feel like, oh my God, Napoleon's gonna congratulate this soldier. It made me like Napoleon even more. But I like Napoleon even more now that he's like, hey, little beardless little bitch. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about, and now I love him even more.
Moment had commanded in 30 battles. But the moment had arrived. Although the Guard, to its frustration, remained in reserve, the other French corps were ordered forward in a general attack. The Prussian army began to give ground. At first it kept its discipline, but then disintegrated into a general rout. Murat's cavalry were launched in pursuit, riding down and sabering hundreds of fleeing Prussians. General Ruchel's 2 divisions finally arrived at the worst possible moment. They briefly held up 5th Corps' advance, but were soon outflanked, broken up by cannon fire, and charged down by French cuirassiers. Meanwhile, 12 miles to the north, near Auerstadt, Marshal Davout was marching southwest, expecting to fall on the Prussian left wing at Yena. Instead, he encountered the Duke of Brunswick's main Prussian army, heading north to take up new positions. Davout's 3rd Corps, 27,000 men and 48 guns, was about to face odds of 2 to 1, while Bernadotte's 1st Corps, which had orders to support Davout, was nowhere to be seen. Davout, nicknamed the Iron Marshal, showed no signs of alarm. He formed his 1st Division into a defensive line centered on the village of Hassenhausen, his infantry forming squares to repel a series of cavalry charges by General Blücher's advance guard. His other 2 infantry divisions arrived to strengthen the line, standing firm in the face of repeated Prussian attacks. But Prussian movements were slow and poorly coordinated, nor did they use their numerical advantage to try and outflank Davout. At a crucial moment, the Duke of Brunswick was shot through the eyes, a wound that proved fatal.
I'd imagine.
King Frederick William himself took command.
He was shot through the eyes or eye, as like he got 2 bullets, 1 in each eye. I'm assuming he got a bullet through the eye.
Several Prussian units remained uncommitted, but the king, convinced he faced the main French army under Napoleon, dithered. Around 12:15, Marshal Davout counterattacked. The Prussian army turned and fled. Davout had won a stunning victory against the odds, but at a heavy price. His corps suffered 25% casualties, 1 man in 4 killed or wounded, while inflicting twice as many losses on the Prussians. When news reached Napoleon that Marshal Davout had engaged and defeated the main Prussian army, he reacted first with disbelief, then heaped praise upon the Iron Marshal, later awarding him the title Duke of Auerstadt. Marshal Bernadotte, in contrast, was nearly court-martialed for failing to support Davout. Napoleon's army began a masterful pursuit of the beaten Prussians, giving them no time to regather their strength. 2 weeks after the twin battles of Jena-Auerstadt, Napoleon's troops, led by Davout's heroic 3rd Corps, entered Berlin. The next day, General Hohenlohe surrendered at Prenzlau. At Lübeck, General Blücher and 20,000 Prussians were driven out of the city in heavy fighting and forced to surrender, while 25,000 Prussians besieged at Magdeburg surrendered to Marshal Ney. Prussia's army had been devastated by a Napoleonic blitzkrieg. In just 33 days, Prussia had lost 20,000 dead, 140,000 prisoners, 800 guns, and 250 standards.
I wonder if the gun stat loss is so important just because you're taking artillery out of the hands of the enemy, or if, you know, they're very hard to produce and you gained 800 guns. But regardless,
it was a humiliation that proud Prussians like General Blücher would neither forget nor forgive.
the Buku?
Unlike Saxony, King Frederick William refused to make peace with Napoleon. He continued to hold out in East Prussia, trusting in the approaching Russian armies to rescue his kingdom. Despite another glorious victory for Napoleon and the Grande Armée, the war was not won yet.
With Fundrise, you can
This is such a great channel. This is probably
from here. Our
that was probably my favorite one of my favorite videos to react to so far. This channel is an A++, S+, A+. That was an amazing experience watching that video. Just with I think it's one guy. Someone says one guy. It can't just be one guy. It's got to be more. If it's not, then if it is just one guy, my God. Your channel is inspiring, very much so. Just the audio and ramping it up at the right moments, and putting in stuff like the fog to give you a feel, and all of the great maneuvering of the troops, and showing how battle works back at the time, and putting in the quotes at certain areas, and just this channel is so good. It helps me learn history through really enjoying history, and amazing. I almost just want to go right into. I'm gonna separate it. Speechless. Check my next one, guys. All right. Part 3. I'll be doing this in a few videos. Keep commenting, subscribe, check out this channel. You probably already have, but if you haven't, go check it out. You won't be disappointed. See you guys next time.